My 33 female husband, 36 male, may have cheated on me with my dead best friend and had an affair baby? Plus update. Original post. I don't even know where to start. The past 6 months have been an absolute mess and it only seems to be getting worse. My best friend since elementary school, who I'll call Alice, passed away in February from cancer. She had a 2-year-old daughter who went into the custody of her mom, Alexis, after she passed away. Last month, Alexis showed up on our doorstep unannounced, telling my husband he needs to take responsibility for his child and either take custody or start finally paying child support. She says that Alice had told her when her daughter was born who the father was, but didn't want anything to do with him. To answer the inevitable, Alice was a traveling nurse and made a lot of money, which is the only reason I can think of for why she didn't go for child support. During this conversation, my husband had the worst panic attack he's ever had, so we had to end the conversation before I could get more details. My husband's story is, I don't even know. He said that Alice's daughter is probably his, but that it isn't what I think. Almost 3 years ago, we threw a large housewarming party as we just moved into our dream home, after I finally finished residency and was set to make real money for once. Alice was in town and set to be at the party, but I was called into work before she got there. I didn't get back until after 3 a.m. Party was winding down, my husband was passed out upstairs and Alice has already left the party, which at the time I did find strange as we hadn't seen each other in months. My husband claims he woke up in the middle of the night to Alice on top of him, but he passed out again before he could say anything. He claims he never told me because he was worried I wouldn't believe him, which I don't know if I do. He showed me some texts he sent his best friend the next day asking for his advice about him thinking someone violated him. But if he cheated, he could have had that conversation as evidence, especially since he never said Alice specifically. Ever since the party, he has been very distant with Alice, and after she had her daughter, he would even find excuses not to be around the house when she would visit at all. I don't know if that's because he cheated or if Alice did actually violated him and this was his trauma response. Honestly, Reddit, I don't know what to do. I've known Alice since we were children, and she had never come across as that kind of person. But I've also known my husband for over a decade, and he's not once ever given the inclination of a cheater. He's an attractive guy, and I've seen the looks he gets at the gym, and he's never even given more than a glance. What the heck should I do? How do I figure out what the truth is here, when Alice isn't even around to defend herself? She never even implied she liked my husband, let alone want to sleep with him. I told my husband he needs to get a DNA test before anything is decided on the child's part. But in the meantime, he needs to move out while I think about what I'm going to do here. Now for the top advice before reading the update. I don't know you or your marriage, but I think I would be inclined to believe and support my husband with a few details you've given. Yep, I would 100% give husband benefit of the doubt, especially if there's no DNA test. Would it be any less different if the genders were reversed? Last thing, which do you think should take to the grave? That she had an affair with, or she your husband? I hadn't thought about that actually. Thank you. That's a good point. She always thought I could do better than him. So if it was an affair, you would think she would have told me on her deathbed at least. Yeah, OP, I don't know you, your husband, or your best friend, but for him to literally send a text asking about is telling. Only a narcissist manipulator would come up with that kind of excuse for cheating. Since he doesn't seem to be that, I would genuinely believe him. Wow, OP, that is a mess. Paternity test for sure. The old text the next day sealed it for me. I think your friend took advantage of your husband. Good luck. This is the story of the day for me. I'm glad the top comments are all so understanding this time, because I've seen really similar stories on here where people absolutely crap on a woman in the same position. Basically, she cheated, dude. You need to dump her, no matter what the circumstances are. His reaction screams trauma response to me. Not being believed is a victim's worst nightmare. It's hard to be rational with these types of events, but could she have slipped him something? Did she have a history of one-night stands? Could they have been extra chummy because you weren't there and they were drinking? I find it odd she specifically asked about him the first time the baby was over, and that she didn't approve of him. On what basis? Lawyer up and then paternity test. Can you have a calm and collected conversation with your spouse that you want to believe him but you're also a mess emotionally and that you need a mediator together? Therapist. But mostly lawyer up now. I'm so sorry you're dealing with this. She was very free-spirited and loved to regale me with her stories of being out on the road. She was very pretty, so you can imagine she didn't do without when she wanted. As for them being chummy, I would have said no if you'd asked me in June. He was always nice to her, but she didn't like him much. I find it odd she specifically asked about him the first time the baby was over and that she didn't approve of him. On what basis? She knew I dreamed of being a doctor and was going places in life, while my husband, from all outward appearances, doesn't work that kind of job. He does contract work for companies and a government in project planning. She figured I could and should have done better. Lawyer up and then paternity test. Thank you, I appreciate it. My husband is dealing with the DNA stuff and should be contacting a lawyer as well. I'm not sure yet on a therapist, but I'll likely need one eventually. Now for the update. After talking with you, I've come to the realization that my husband is being truthful. My best friend forced herself on him. Several people pointed out that with Alice not liking my husband, if it was an affair, she would have told me when she was dying, if only to separate us. You're absolutely right. I was there in the room while she passed. I held her hands for days. We talked about so much. If it was just an affair, she would have told me. But if she violated my husband, she wouldn't have said a word. That's the type of thing horrible people take to the grave. I've also come to the realization that I made a terrible mistake asking my husband to leave for a few days while I gather my thoughts. Not to make excuses, but losing my best friend to cancer, a long cancer fight at that, was brutal. To say that I was devastated wouldn't do it justice. That it happened only 6 months ago, I'm still feeling it every day. So to have this thrown on me, it's like I'm losing her all over again. Either she betrayed me and slept with my husband, or she betrayed me and my husband. Not only have I lost her, but now I've lost good memories, an entire lifetime's worth. It was impossible for me to look at him and not also see her, and be stuck with the horror and realization of that loss all over again. I felt I needed to be able to break down, grieve, and think without the fresh wave of loss I got every time I saw him. It was wrong of me to ask him to leave. You're right though, and as of a few minutes ago, I've righted this wrong. I called my husband. I apologized, told him I believe him, and begged him to come home. He'll be here in half an hour at most, and I'm going to support my husband the way I know he would have supported me. I've been an off and on Reddit user for several years, and sometimes the advice given on subs like these can be a bit hit or miss. But today you guys did good. You've helped me realize not only that I was wrong, and being stupid at that, but that I was hurting the person that needed me the most. I was selfish. I have no idea what we're going to do as far as the potential daughter is concerned, but I assure you we'll deal with it together. It's going to take a lot of time, and probably a lot of therapy to grieve this new loss. I feel numb now, as though I'll never cry again. My best friend violated my husband, which means she was no friend of mine. She flaunted it, coming to my house, sitting with me and gabbing. She brought her child here, trying to rub it in his face right in front of me. She tortured the man I loved, and I was an unknowing party to it. I feel sick to my stomach over how many times she came over, just to hold it over him. I'm honestly at a loss on how to make that up to him. If you all have any ideas, please feel free to give them to me. I think I'll need all the help I can get. Tomorrow, I'm going to take a leave of absence from work, just until we can figure out our next steps, and we can get our heads on straight. Thank you, everyone. Last story. Update. I, male 28, know that my son isn't mine, but my wife, female 26, doesn't think that I do. I've been married to my wife for 3 years and together for 5. Our son just turned 2 in early June, and to put it bluntly, he looks biracial. His skin is darker than I thought it would have been. He has curly hair when we most certainly don't, and his features just don't look like the standard white people which we are. He's such a beautiful boy, he just doesn't look 100% white. I asked my wife a few days after his birthday if she thought our son looked white. She said yes, and asked if I'm accusing her of something. I said no, because I genuinely wasn't. I just was wondering. I know genetics can be weird sometimes. We fought, and I apologized, but I wasn't able to shake the feeling. So I did a crappy thing and got a test done behind my wife's back. The results came in a few days ago, and I'm not my son's dad. I feel conflicted about my son. I love him, but knowing that he isn't mine is leaving a sour taste in my mouth. Our son definitely prefers me and he's my world, but he's just not biologically mine. I don't know what to make of my feelings. I'm a mix of emotions about my wife. I don't know how to talk to her. I'm angry, confused, and feeling very, very betrayed. I'm heartbroken too. I still love her. She's working at the moment and I don't want to disturb her at her office, but I feel like I'm going to explode. This is all very difficult for me to process, and I can't think of when my wife cheated. We always had each other's locations for safety purposes, and I can't think of any suspicious friends that she has or had. We go on regular dates and our bedroom is a den. We were also trying for a baby around that time, so I don't know when she cheated on me or why. Ever since we married, she's been over the moon, constantly showing off her ring and talking about me. She's like a teenager in love. How do I tell her that I know, or get that ball rolling? I don't know what I want to do yet, as stupid as that sounds. I've been stewing on it for a few days, but I still love her so much. Maybe someone can knock some sense into me? I need help. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Just say, I had a paternity test done and it shows I'm not his father. That ought to start off a conversation. Take it from there. Yeah, that's a good icebreaker. You place the results of the test in front of her and you say, we need to have a conversation, and go from there. You could express your concerns about baby being switched at birth and request your wife obtain a test to ensure. You didn't want to say anything to her unless it came back as it did. Let's hope it isn't like another Reddit person who found out their child was swapped at birth. That was a ride. This is where you need to be strategic, not emotional. I'd get a second test, just to be sure. And I might even have the kid tested against her DNA, if you can obtain it, as it would rule out a hospital mix-up. Super rare, but it does happen. Then talk with a lawyer and probably pull half of any shared accounts before confronting her. Yes, check with a lawyer before yanking money. The reality is, either person on a joint account can empty it. If you are reliant on a partner who has been proven scientifically untrustworthy, take steps to protect yourself. Yep, if she cheated, the level of deception she had to pull off to try and pass a biracial child off to two white parents is astronomical. OP, do a second test and plan before you confront. Does he actually know her ethnic background though? Because most people assume that I am white, but my father's family is Puerto Rican and my abuelita is biracial. Her mom was black. One of my cousins had a biracial-looking baby, even though she looks white, and her husband is actually as white bread as they come. It's rare, but it does happen. Genetics are wild, and they aren't necessarily passed on 50-50. We had something similar happen to a family friend. They appear white, but when they had a baby, the baby wasn't white appearing. But the baby was 100% theirs. Turns out, way back in the woman's family tree, a great-great-great-great-grandmother was black. But the genes were completely dormant for years. You mentioned that you were trying. Did you do any IVF? I just watched a documentary where a fertility doctor switched his sperm for any male patient's sperm. Also, there could have been a mix-up there. Also, someone said about a switch at the hospital. Give her the results and ask her to start explaining. Most importantly, talk to a lawyer and immediately start separating any and all financial accounts. As for the whole location being on thing, yes, someone can leave their phone in one place, while they physically go to another place and then come back to pick up the phone. So you can't rely on that. If you have will and determination, you can figure out anything. Edit. I'm becoming overwhelmed with the comments. I'm sorry. I wanted to reply to a few, but I can't. I just wanted to say thank you for commenting and that I also hope our baby was just swapped. As terrible as that sounds. Our baby didn't look biracial at birth. As he got older, he started developing features that didn't look entirely like ours. If our son's skin didn't darken over time, I don't think I ever would have questioned anything. The other features can be explained as a fun little surprise or a few generation hops maybe. I know that genetics can be weird. Now for the update. Getting the bad news out the way first. My son isn't mine. I feel devastated and will be divorcing my wife. My wife and I had talked about our son a few days after my post, and my wife cracked under the pressure. She admitted to cheating on me without me even mentioning the test I had gotten done. All I asked was if she really thought our son looked white. I mean it when I say that if his skin never got darker, I wouldn't have known. She cried a lot and begged for forgiveness and told me that we can all still be a happy family. But my image of her shattered right then and there. I'm going through heartbreak, so forgive any mistakes. I'm currently living with my parents. I asked her when she even found a time to cheat on me, and she told me that she would leave her phone in a location and use another. She told me that cheating was a mistake and an accident. But how was it a mistake if you had it so planned out? We were trying for a baby around then, and she told me that she couldn't handle the pressure of it all and just wanted to escape. She didn't escape very well if she still got pregnant and acted like we were perfect. Thank you again to everyone. My wife will now be known as my ex-wife. I apologize to anyone who had hope and thought it was a baby switched at birth situation. I'm somewhat happy it wasn't, because that would be terrible, but extremely disappointed because that means he really isn't mine. There won't be any more DNA tests because she admitted to everything and showed me some text messages. There won't be any more updates from me either because I just want to move on with my life. I'll get everything sorted and figure out the whole custody thing. Thanks again, everyone. Goodbye. If she left her phone somewhere so he wouldn't know she was elsewhere, that's not an accident or a mistake. It's just crappy purposeful behavior. Sucks for that poor kid. I hope things turn out okay for him and Opie. Very much so. It was a deliberate decision. It was a choice, not a mistake. It was only a mistake because she got caught. I asked her when she even found a time to cheat on me, and she told me that she would leave her phone in a location and use another. Cold and calculated. But it was an accident, like stubbing your toe. She was under a lot of stress, and I don't know about you, but when I want to relieve stress, I would create a deep, dark secret that would destroy my family if anyone found out. When I'm under a lot of stress, I can accidentally eat a whole bag of chips. Similar kind of accident, fewer consequences. Paternity fraud should be a crime. Careful, or you're going to get downvoted to hell by people who think that men's rights are a joke. But yes, it should be a crime. Mandatory paternity testing at birth. This will solve infidelity in bad hospitals that switch babies. There is no accusation of cheating as the guy has no say in it. It's just standard protocol. Like, it's not like you get angry going through TSA, essentially being accused of being a terrorist. Update. I-23 male hit my wife and will be going to jail tonight. Original post. My wife 31 female is mentally stable. Her personality flipped when we got married. She can be very violent. Tonight we got in an argument and she started throwing things at me. Then she started hitting me, so I hit her in the face. She told me she's going to call the police and locked herself in our guest room. I don't know if she actually called the police, but I'm sitting here waiting. I'm definitely going to be the one that goes to jail. I've never hit a woman before and I've never felt so low. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. You're in a bad place. If cops come, request a lawyer immediately and keep your mouth shut. If cops don't come in 4 hours or so, then leave the premises and don't return without witnesses or a constable. And divorce papers. She's 31 and you're 23? Wow, I'm curious how long y'all have been married and even together before that. Sounds suspect. She was a walking red flag with an air horn the moment she started hitting on someone who was probably barely out of high school at the time. How did Opie not see anything wrong with a creepy age gap and think this woman was mentally sound? But we might be dealing with a grooming case here. How did Opie not see anything wrong with a creepy age gap and think this woman was mentally sound? The same way barely legal teen women think some old dude is into them because they're so smart and mature for their age. You have the groomer telling them what they want to hear, and everyone else is just jealous and doesn't understand their relationship. Call the police and report her attacking you. That's not going to work. He hit back and it will probably show. Even if she did those things, it will be in favor of her. My ex-wife slapped me for no reason. I called the cops and they did nothing. When she was asked, she even admitted it. They even laughed at me. F me for calling them instead of violence. Edit? Wow, I wasn't expecting a lot of responses on this. Just got out of jail and will update later. Now for the first update. I know a lot of people commented wanting to know what I ended up doing after hitting my wife. I wish I could have responded, but I didn't have my phone. Honestly, I'm surprised at how many people saw my post and commented. To answer some questions, because people believe I was groomed as my wife is older. We met when I was 19 and she was 27. She was the nicest and most amazing woman I had ever met. I fell for her immediately. She really had her stuff together. She had a master's degree and was very successful in her field of work as an independent small business owner. She was married and divorced once before meeting me. Red flag in hindsight. We eloped 4 months ago. The house is leased. Only my name is on the lease as my wife moved out of her apartment when we got married. After we got married is when she started lashing out and hitting me occasionally. And no, I didn't just hit her in the face because I was mad. She threw a glass at me. It hit me in the head. It didn't shatter on my head. I fell to the ground and she got on top of me. I was trying to block her hits and reacted by hitting her. Then she acted like the victim by crying and saying she was calling the police and she wasn't safe around me. Then locked herself in the guest room. However, now I tell you what happened after the post. Yes, I ended up going to jail Saturday night. Unfortunate that I got arrested the night before Easter Sunday because I couldn't see a judge until Monday. I was charged with domestic assault and battery. It is a misdemeanor because it's my first offense, but I could still face a year in jail. My wife didn't call the police immediately. She locked herself in the guest room after it happened. About 20 minutes after the incident is when I posted on Reddit. I honestly thought she was bluffing about calling the police, but about 10 minutes after that, there were 2 cops knocking and yelling at my front door. My wife came out of the guest room with a black eye. I immediately knew I was screwed. I was wearing a white t-shirt that had some blood stains on it because my wife had busted my lip. Unfortunately, regardless of me saying I was defending myself against my violent wife, they saw her black eye and the blood in my shirt, and I was arrested. As of right now, I'm not allowed to be around my wife. I have a public defender as I can't afford my own lawyer. She has left our house, so luckily I can stay there. I have no idea where she went. She took my dog though. She didn't even want the freaking thing. I'm calling a divorce lawyer and will be filing as soon as possible. I'm going to try and get the charge dropped as well. My attorney is pretty confident that it will go nowhere, as I have a clean record and my wife has domestic charges on her record. I knew about this, but I was stupid and believed her when she said her husband hit her all the time. Now look at me, and I'm claiming self-defense. I was also fired from my job too because I was in jail on Monday. And as of right now, I probably won't be getting another because there's no way I can pass a background check with an ongoing legal problem. I am going to be setting cameras up all around my house in case my wife decides to show up. I still have her number in my phone, unblocked, but will not be reaching out or responding if she reaches out to me. Essentially, my life is ruined. My wife is a horrible human being, and I could face jail time or homelessness. I don't speak to my family as they don't like my wife, and this is something that I don't think I can tell them about because they warned me that she was trouble. Go talk to your family. Take the I told you so's. Man up. Deal with it. They love you. I will tell my family. I'm just worried because my mom is a police officer, so I feel like this could also turn them further against me. You really think your mom will side with a woman she hated and warned you about and think that her little boy who has only been gone for a few years is now a woman beater? It's not just that I'm worried about her opinion on that, but she always told me and my siblings if we go to jail that we can't forget about being part of the family. I'm sure she was talking about going to jail as doing crimes, not as fighting back in self-defense. Big sister to a younger brother here. My brother's ex-fiancé completely isolated him from our family and tried to control every bit of his life. We absolutely hated this chick, but we knew he was an adult who made his own choices. Eventually, he wised up and left her before they got married. Trust and believe me when I say we welcomed him back into our fold, no questions or hesitation. We were just happy he got out. Even if your mom doesn't help you, and if she doesn't, she's probably not a great mom, other people in your family will be happy to hear from you. As someone else said, they love you, and they want the best for you. My ex-wife tried to get me for false imprisonment and battery. The cops always believe the woman, but the court isn't so thoughtless. Maintain your side of the story and you should see all of this dismissed. Thank you for this comment. As much as I'm confident I can get it dismissed, there's still that anxiety in the back of my mind. Get your dog back. There's no saying what she'll do to it. Luckily, my name is on the papers for the dog. I've told the police and told them my soon-to-be ex-wife stole my dog. As of now, it's not being treated as urgent, as well as the fact no one knows where they are. Yeah, I'm really worried about my dog. I've had him since I was 16. She tried to get rid of him many times, so I'm worried that's exactly what she's done. Edit with multiple mini updates. Thank you for the advice, guys. I called my parents and told them I'm coming over tonight. They don't know what happened yet, but I'm gonna talk to them. Edit 2. I spoke to my parents tonight. I hadn't spoken to them since I got married to my wife, which was 4 months ago. They were not at all supportive of the decision, as well as me dating her. At the time, I didn't know why. Obviously, I know now they were right. They honestly were happy to see me when I showed up. They thought I was bringing my wife over, so I'm sure they were even happier to see that I came alone. I told them everything, and I'm not gonna lie, it was really emotional. My parents were more than understanding. They're paying for a lawyer, not only to fight my charges, but for the divorce as well. My mom is walking me through how to press charges against her for the abuse, as well as for stealing my dog. They said I could stay at the house with them if I felt safer there, but I declined. I thought they'd be all "I told you so," but it wasn't like that at all. I also filed for divorce. She should be served at her office sometime soon. Second full update. Hey everyone. I wasn't going to update because for me this issue is over. But I have a lot of messages and understand that many people are curious as to how things are going after that initial night with me getting arrested. The charges were tossed. My wife admitted that she exaggerated everything and told police and my attorney that I was not abusive and said she would appreciate if the charges weren't pursued any further. That was good enough because I'm no longer facing a misdemeanor. Shortly after that, she came to the house, which now has cameras, with a bunch of my favorite snacks and drinks, as well as a long apology note. She was in tears, saying she didn't mean to ruin my life, and she was so sorry. And that night she was seeing red and barely remembers anything. When she showed up, I didn't say anything. I also didn't accept her apology gift or letter. All I asked was where my dog was. She tried to act confused and said she didn't have him. I know my wife. Her face gets red when she lies. I told her if she doesn't return my dog, I'm pressing charges, as well as getting a restraining order and filing for divorce. She broke down and told me that she did take him and had no intention to harm him, but he did run away when she left a door open. She said she looked for him and couldn't find him. He isn't chipped. He's gone. We aren't going to find him. I'm torn up over it. I told her to leave my property. A few days later, she was served divorce papers. Again, shows up at my house crying, saying she's sorry for everything. She loves me. She wants to save our marriage. She said I can't throw away what we have over an animal. While my dog is a huge reason why I'm going through this, I got angry and said she's abusive. She's manipulative, and she needs therapy and medical help for her problems. It's way more than my dog. I told her she's lucky I haven't pressed charges, and I've only filed for divorce. Well, she hit me again, this time on camera. I called the police. When the police showed up, she was in hysterics and tried to turn it on me, saying that she hit me in self-defense and that we're going through a divorce and I wouldn't let her leave. She didn't know I had cameras. She was arrested. I was granted a restraining order. We are getting divorced. I've gone to every animal shelter close by. My dog is nowhere to be found. It's been a few weeks. I'm assuming the worst. My wife's ex-husband reached out to me. He's still friends with a few of my wife's friends and they filled him in on the situation. He told me that she did something similar to him, but he let it continue for longer than he should have because she is really manipulative and would cry and apologize and seem genuinely remorseful and willing to take the steps necessary to change. He told me not to look back or fall for any of it. But yeah, as happy as I am that my legal issues are over and I'm getting out of an abusive marriage, to me it's not a happy ending because I lost my best friend since I was 16. I let him down. I put my dog in a situation where he is unsafe. I miss him so much. Thank you everyone for the kind messages and comments. You really helped me through this. Man, the fact that she hit you again and then tried to get you in trouble with the law again immediately after her big apology attempt is just extra proof that she won't change. She's putting herself first and doesn't care about how it hurts you. Add on that she lied to your face about taking your dog? Jesus. She sounds so awful, and I'm so sorry. I dig around some more regarding your dog. I don't believe that he ran off. I think she either hurt the dog or gave it to someone else. I'd be contacting every friend and family member she has to ask about the dog. Someone probably knows something. I'm so sorry you're dealing with all this, Opie. But know that even though right now and the divorce process sucks, it will get better when you're finished with all this. I agree. I don't know why, but I don't believe your dog is gone for good. Talk to people. Use social media. Anything you can think of. Good luck. I've only just discovered this story and read up on OP's previous posts. When he says in the first post about his wife instantly flipping over to being a victim once the opportunity comes around, like flipping a switch, reminds me a lot of an abusive ex I had. She never hit me, but whenever she realized she messed up, she'd push my buttons as much as she could, just so I would mess up too. Or not even mess up, but do or say anything that would allow her to switch roles. And she was masterful in that. How often I went from asking her how the heck she could treat her own boyfriend like that, only to go after her apologizing just minutes later. Still to this day, I'm not completely free from this. I still feel the devastation that comes automatically when you hurt someone you love. It's been 15 years, and her conditioning still makes me feel like I was in the wrong for saying things back to her after being pelted with abuse. Last story. My husband is acting strange ever since he found out his ex-wife is engaged. My female 25 husband, male 49, and I have been married for 3 years and we have an 18-month-old. We met 4 years ago when we both moved here to be near our families. Me after I finished uni and my husband after his divorce was made final. We have a good life and don't have any problems. We both have good jobs in human resources. Our child is the center of both our world. A couple of weeks ago, my husband found out that his ex-wife is getting married. He hasn't talked to her since he moved to Alberta after the divorce. But someone he used to know when he lived in St. John's was visiting here, and my husband and him went out to catch up. He told my husband that his ex-wife is engaged. Ever since then, my husband has been acting strange and he seems upset. He got divorced because he wanted a child. He said he always thought he didn't want children, and when he met his ex-wife, he was relieved he met a woman who also didn't want children. But he said about 5 years ago he changed his mind. His ex-wife still didn't want kids, so my husband filed for divorce because he did. His family tells me they were shocked when he changed his mind about wanting to be a father. I understand that his ex-wife is a big part of his past. They were married for 20 years and together for 22, and she was part of his life for almost half his life. But I don't understand why he is upset. He was the one who divorced her. Our relationship is happy and he loves our baby. He is a good father and husband. He tried to look on social media for stuff about his wife, even though she isn't on any of it. I understand that he is curious, but he admitted he looked up other doctors at a hospital she works at to try and figure out which one she's engaged to. He says he loves me and he loves our child, but I don't know why he's acting so strange and upset. I feel like he should not care about anything his ex-wife does. We have never had any problems in our marriage before, but he is acting strange ever since he found out about his ex-wife, and now it feels like it's not the same. Now for the top advice. He didn't divorce her because he lost feelings. He divorced her because he wanted kids and she didn't. Which is fine, that's just life. Aspirations change, and they were right to separate and pursue their own happiness. But it probably hurts him to know she's moved on almost as quickly as he did. And whereas his goal was to have children with someone, she's most likely just marrying for love. I think this is the answer. He still loves his first wife, he just wanted children. Now that he sees his wife is in love with someone else, it hurts. But he chose this, so he has to live with it. It's time for him to refocus on his current circumstances and be content. This is what he wanted. And then if his ex-wife changes her mind about kids, OMG, he will implode. I thought the same thing. He had to marry someone younger. No one his age was going to have a baby or babies. So a 21-year-old was a perfect victim. If his ex-wife ends up pregnant, that will really mess him up. But like I said before, this is all his own doing. He's acting like that because he no longer is winning in the little mental battle he has with his ex. Let's recap here. Gets with a way younger woman after his divorce was final. I bet you $50 he did it to rub it in his ex's face. Knows he's upsetting you but doesn't care. Why would he? He already has you where he wants, tied to him. Thought he was going to be the one that got away, but now that someone else shows interest in the toy he discarded, he just really wants it back. He's not over his ex. Her moving on with her life, however, means she's way over him, and he's now in the back burner for her. And he can't stand it. You got with an almost 50-year-old that acts like a 21-year-old on his first heartbreak. What a prize. Update. Would I be the a-hole if I refused to have intimacy with my husband? Original post. Around mid-August of 2019, me 28 female and my husband 35 male tied a knot between us. He has 2 kids from his previous marriage. He and his ex-wife are co-parenting their kids. I really love the kids. One of the major factors why I got married with him was kids. I have reasons for that. My father died when I was 15. My mom wasn't so highly educated, so with that last education qualification, she couldn't provide for me and my other 3 younger brothers all alone. So I started to do part-time jobs. I babysat, cleaned people's yard, took out pets for walk, did assignments of my classmates, etc. I earned really little money with that, but it helped my family a little bit. When I was 17, I took a food delivery job. One night, around 10 or 11, I was dropping food at the other side of the city. A drunk driver hit my cycle and I went into a terrible accident. The driver needed to pay a large fine for that since my condition was very critical. I had a lot of internal bleeding and damage. So because of that accident, the doctor confirmed that in the future the chances of me getting pregnant is very small, that it'll be a miracle for me to have my own kid. I was at the lowest part of my life because of that accident. I couldn't go out or do my work on my own. My family took care of me. It took me around 8 months to get well. At first, I didn't mind having a childless life, but when I started to notice my friends having families, I realized the beauty of motherhood. So I started dating guys with kids. My husband was my second boyfriend. We tied knot after we dated for 10 months. When I got married, his son was 11 and his daughter was 7. I got along with them well. It took them few months before they started to call me mama on their own. I left my job to be the stay-at-home mom for them. Honestly, I really adore them. I have a good relationship with their bio mom too. After COVID, we went to Belgium for our 2nd anniversary on 2021. The trip was all good and I remember feeling so loved. The day before we were supposed to come back to our home, he proposed the idea of opening our marriage. If I say I was hurt, will be an understatement. I couldn't look in his eyes without feeling hollow and sorrow. I said no multiple times after coming back from the trip, but he kept persisting. And after a couple of weeks, I gave up and agreed. He set the terms. I don't remember most of it, but few of his terms was to never share this information with others. We can't date our exes or friends. No emotional attachment with our partners. I'd always use protection. In his words, he still loves me. He only opened the marriage because he wanted to gain experience and use it in our marriage. I remember going to sleep hurt and crying all night. I gave up my job to take care of him and the kids, yet he yearned for another woman. We became distant. He noticed that and tried to initiate intimacy with me, but I don't feel anything at all. I just lay there until he is done. I also distanced myself from him. The idea of him having intimacy with other women while being in a marriage with me disgusted me. I couldn't look at him the same way I used to. We always have our location on so I could see where he is going. Those used to hurt me a lot until I became completely numb at this point. Now I don't see him as my husband, but someone I tied knots with to be a mother. Last year, I told him I want to start to work again. He got kinda defensive. He listed some reasons to explain why I can't work. And when he saw that all his tricks weren't working, he pulled the kids into the mess. He knew I have soft spots for his kids, but I didn't back down that time. He gave me a cold shoulder and went on a trip with one of his girlfriends. I applied to be a teacher at my brother's high school. He is the youngest of all my siblings and a sophomore. I'm teaching chemistry at a school. My husband was mad at me for having a job for a few months, but he relented and I started to give myself more alone time. Since the kids have extracurricular activities, they always don't stay at home. I have a friend circle from high school. I hang out with them every 2 weeks. I met a guy in my workplace. He is 29 and have 3 kids with his late wife. One day, I ranted about my whole situation. He showed interest in me after that. He is a nice guy. I went on few dates with him. Nothing physical happened between us. I think I am relying on him for mental support since he is very supportive of me. I haven't felt something like that for a long time in my life. Now, a few days ago, I went to the salon and cut my hair short to shoulder length. My husband complimented me multiple times that day. The kids went to their grandparents' house for summer vacation. During the night, he tried to initiate intimacy. Well, I straight up said no for the first time. I think he was taken aback. He had mixed expressions that I can't put a finger on. He started to use the husband card on me, and I put my foot down and said no. We had a huge argument, and he left. I saw his location. He went to one of his girlfriend's place. He didn't contact me for 2 days now. Now I'm conflicted. Even if I don't feel anything towards him, he is still my husband. I can't share this with anyone, so I need advice on this. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. Info. Is having children really worth a husband who demanded an open marriage and did not want to have financial independence? It wasn't like that from the early days. After COVID, I noticed some changes, but didn't really pay any attention. That time, all I wanted was to have a child to raise like my own. Before him, I dated another guy with a kid. He was nice, but he had a lot of issues. Plus, I resigned from my previous workplace on my own volition. I really wanted to devote myself to the kid's life. It was a mistake, but now I have a job which pays me double the amount than before. I still love the kids. They're all I could ask for in children. He was already cheating. He just wanted permission after the fact. Leave now. Girl, the marriage was over when he proposed an open marriage. Just divorce. Love yourself more. A man who truly loves his wife doesn't go outside a marriage for anything. Your husband just wants a stable life at home and someone to watch his kids when they're there and have his fun with another woman. He's selfish. Get some therapy, divorce, and live your life. And once you heal yourself, you'll be blessed with a man who truly loves only you. Don't waste any more time and tears on that man. Plus, he wanted her to be financially dependent, so she couldn't leave. And wanting to gain more experience for her sake? What a crock. OP, if you see these posts, take the suggestions. Leave him. He is using you as a live-in babysitter. Now for the first update. Last night I made a post about my current situation of my marriage and asked for an unbiased view. There are almost 300 people who responded and gave me advice. I couldn't respond to any of them since I was overwhelmed with emotions. There are a few things I want to clarify. Firstly, I met my husband after my graduation when I was looking for a job. I made things official with him after I had a job. We dated for 10 months before getting married. Secondly, his ex-wife and him were childhood sweethearts who married each other when they were in college. After the birth of their second child, they realized they don't have the same bond, so they got divorced and have 50-50 custody. Thirdly, few people in my previous post asked me to make things official with my coworker. I would do that when I'm ready. Currently, my mental health isn't in the best state. I'm working on it. Plus, I can't have intimacy with anyone whom I barely know. We've been co-workers about almost a year, but still I am not ready to take that step yet. Lastly, those who are saying I am using sex as a punishment, it's quite opposite. He barely comes home. He is always out with the kids or his girlfriends. I would love to add that he doesn't have just one, but 3 girlfriends. And yes, all of them are aware of my existence. Now to the update. Last night, I made a post about the current situation of my marriage with my husband, asking if I would be the a-hole if I refused to have intimacy. He hasn't come back in the last 3 days or contacted me. The kids talk with me daily. I had few conversation with their bio mom too. They're over at her parents' place. Honestly, I thought he will get over it or won't bother me for a long time, but I was very wrong. During lunch, my mom came over to visit me. She asked if everything was okay between me and my husband. I didn't lie this time. I straight up said no. We had a long conversation about my marriage and I was relieved after that. It felt so good after sharing everything with her. I am not ashamed to admit I cried like a kid in her arms while explaining everything. She stayed with me the entire day. Then she called one of my younger brothers, 26, and told him everything. Saying he was mad would be an understatement. She asked why the heck I would suffer that much and scolded me for a couple of minutes. With the help of my mom and brother, I packed my stuffs. I didn't leave with any of the things he got me. Most likely we will get a divorce soon. I texted a short message in his number thanking him for being my husband, and I won't be continuing the marriage anymore, along with some personal stuffs between us. With the help of my friend and family, currently I am finding a lawyer. I don't know how long it'll take me to finally get out of the marriage. I left the house around evening and sent the messages around 7. After that, I muted his number. I also told his ex-wife about this. And needless to say, she was as much surprised as everyone, because it wasn't like that. She assured me that even after divorce, she will let me see the kids. I am really grateful for that part. Divorcing him will be easy since we always had separate accounts. I have little savings. Before I get on my own feet properly, I will be staying with my mom in our old house. I turned off my location before leaving his house, but it won't be long until he figures out where I am. He is currently messaging me, but I'm not strong enough to open them and read them, so I haven't responded or read his texts. Well done. If he gets upset, just remind him that he was the one who ruined the marriage by cheating. I say cheating because an open marriage only works if both partners are willing. A one-sided open marriage is just cheating. I hope OP listens to this. She did not agree to this and was browbeaten into submission. That's not an open marriage. He's been cheating on her and trying to justify himself. I know she needs her family to be strong for her right now, but hopefully soon she learns how strong she is and stands up to him and his BS. Good for you. You deserve a life where you are respected and your feelings validated. You will find true happiness as long as you keep advocating for yourself. Seriously, I'm so glad that OP followed what I read most people tell her. She deserves so much better. I must say, I will never understand why someone who is monogamous would ever agree to open a relationship in an effort to appease their spouse and save the relationship. It's over the moment they suggest it, and you might as well save yourself the time and pain of trying to work through it and divorce immediately at that point. Second update. Hi, it's me again. Thank you for all the support you guys gave on my previous post. I would write everything briefly as my lawyer suggested not to share anything too much. I got a lawyer the day after I left the house. He told me not to worry about anything currently. The divorce proceedings started a few days ago. My soon-to-be ex received the paper and he went ballistic. There were several emotional episodes from him. The proceedings will take time to conclude, at least 90 days. We had a prenup before marriage, so I won't be getting any of the assets. I don't want anything from him, plus my payment as a teacher is enough to fend for myself. I just want him to get out of my life and start everything over again. Lately, he have been messaging me a lot, telling me how he misses my cooking and stuff. It just weirds me out a lot, so I ignored his texts and calls. I only talk to him through lawyers. I used to feel trapped in this marriage, but now I feel a little bit free. Some relatives from his side contacted me. Mostly they're accusing me of letting him have his affairs. In their words, it's my fault that I couldn't tie my husband by the side and let him open the marriage. His mother sent few nasty texts, which I didn't expected from her since she's a woman too. I took screenshots of those. I might sue for harassment if anything goes further than just text messages or voicemails. He misses his bandmate. Stay away from this guy. He's bad news. He wants you to cook, clean, and take care of his kids. He doesn't respect you. Get your divorce. See the kids through his ex-wife and go no contact with him. Check out the book Human Magnet Syndrome. It has very good information on narcissists and codependency. Edited to add, did he say just once that he missed you? Missed your presence? Or was it just, I miss your cooking and how you fold my laundry? I feel like that's all very telling in how he feels about you. It's a very long rant. I didn't even read everything. But basically he missed how I used to cook homemade food for him. He doesn't like stale food, so I used to cook fresh meals for him always. Overall, he misses me in his house. So he only misses the stuff you do for him. He's selfish. Not the a-hole OP. Be proud that you finally put yourself first. You are valuable and worth to be loved. It doesn't matter if you can't bear children. That's not your personality. You are more than your uterus. I hope you find someone who loves you for who you are and not for what you can provide. Labor, time, chores. Thank you so much for your kind words. All credit goes to everyone for my previous posts. It helps me realize what's right and what's wrong. Last story. Am I the a-hole? My son's dad is about to be homeless and I have an extra room, but I don't want him to live with me. I, 29 female, have an 11-year-old son. His father, a 32 male, and I broke up 10 years ago. We have had a decent co-parenting relationship. Son lived with his dad and visited me on weekends/breaks. Until 2 years ago when I discovered that he'd been reported for truancy. His dad just wasn't putting him on a bus to school. Seems like he didn't want to wake up that early, so his dad would drive him to school 1 to 2 hours late a few times a week. Took my name off the school paperwork, so I wasn't informed until I called to get a copy of his report card. I immediately went to court and got primary custody. Son has been excelling in my school district. His grades have improved, and he's much happier. His dad still lives with his parents, and it's been obvious that he's getting more and more depressed. We keep getting called back to court because he's not paying child support. Hasn't had a job in over a year. This isn't an issue for me financially, as I have a very good job and I'm able to support our son by myself. The relationship between my son's dad and his parents has been awful lately. They're treating him like a child, and he doesn't seem to understand how much of a burden it must be for them to be supporting a grown man who doesn't contribute. For a year now, I've been encouraging him to get into therapy and offering to help him with his resume and applications. He accepts the help, but always has excuses on why now isn't a good time. Now, he's being kicked out. His parents gave him a notice to vacate and will likely be taking him to court to evict him if he doesn't leave. We've agreed in writing that our son will not be staying with him until he has a place to live, and my son is happy because his grandparents have been awful to him lately. Son's dad picks him up regularly to go to the park or the movies, and this is working for all of us for now. He claims he has nowhere to go, no one to stay with. He's applying to jobs now, but he doesn't groom himself. He smells bad every time I see him, and he wears dirty clothes. He hasn't had any success with interviews. I've tried talking to him about this stuff, and about getting into therapy once again, but he always has excuses that honestly don't make much sense. I just bought a house and it has an extra bedroom. I am insanely proud of myself. I love having this independence, not living in an apartment and having so much privacy. Some of my friends have been pointing out the obvious solution of offering him my extra bedroom until he gets on his feet. I'm half expecting him to bring this up himself at some point. But I don't want this. I don't want a roommate. I certainly don't want a roommate that struggles to hold down a job, doesn't clean himself, and will be parenting the child I've worked so hard to instill new responsible habits in. We have very different approaches to parenting, and it works well from a distance but would not work together. At the same time, I feel awful if my son's dad was homeless. But this is a result of his choices. I used the time without my son to create a good life for myself, and I don't understand why he won't do the same. I've been trying to give him resources for government assistance, 211, etc., but keep getting these excuses that make no sense whatsoever. Now for the comments. Letting him move in would immediately become one of the worst mistakes of your life. Not a-hole. I completely agree. I worked hard for this house for my son and I. Do not adopt their son just because his parents kicked him out. You already have one child to care for. And my child showers regularly.